Does fully M Raiden do anything besides press E? No. But her pressing E is important, and that's why you should crown her E. Is Neuvillette lore-wise stronger than Raiden and Zhongli? That's a good question. Although I know, probably stronger than Raiden, because Raiden in the lore is omega fucking weak. Like, I'm sorry, but you can't even beat up a fucking random samurai? You're a weakling, a loser, really. We've never really seen Zhongli fight though, so we don't have... Raiden is not weak? Sure, buddy. Sure, buddy. Canonically, Raiden has fought 2 people on screen. Us, she lost, and Kazuha, she at the very least didn't win. So I'm sorry, but as far as I'm concerned, Raiden's a weakling. Senora, she didn't fight Senora. She finished Senora off after we already beat her. I'm sorry, it just is what it is. She didn't do shit. We did everything. Well, like, Neuvillette is looking very good with Fischl and Jean and Furina team. Might be best in slot. Yeah, the thing about Jean is you don't have grouping though, and grouping is very good. Although with Neuvillette it might not matter as much because it's very easy to get. It's very easy to get good AoE coverage on Neuvillette. What do you think is the best solo character? That's a good question. It might be Ganyu. Lenny's pretty fucking good as well, actually. When you're in single target, at least. Lenny. Actually, I mean, you still get that. You still get 60%. Yeah, he's still pretty good. Ayaka, I don't know about Ayaka. Elon, it's all right. Yeah, Bennett's pretty strong as well. Noelle is not very good solo. Because you don't have particle generation. Playing physical Noelle. Hell yeah, brother. What's my favorite Neuvillette team? It depends on the situation a lot. I think Neuvillette is a character where if you want to have the best experience playing him, you're going to want to swap his teams around pretty often. But this one is my default one. And I also really like having this one.
The threads of your fate lie in my hands.
This one is probably my second favorite one. In which Neuvillette team is Nahida replaceable with DMC? So usually going to DMC is a strict downgrade in Hyperbloom teams. However, with Neuvillette specifically, because he has really shit off-field Hydro Up, and he doesn't have a good way to front-load Hydro Up, it can be very difficult to get Hydro Swirls with Nahida, because she applies too much Dendro. So in teams where you play Kazuha, like this one, for example...
Sounds good to me.
There's definitely a use case for replacing to
There's
DMC.
still a long road ahead.
Or maybe like this one instead.
The campaign begins.
Or with Kuki or something. Also with Venti instead of Kazuha. Sorry, this has been asked earlier. I just got here. You mentioned in your Neuvillette pre-release that he doesn't have a hypercarry team due to no Hydro Bennett is Furina. Now that you have seen her tentative kit, that Hydro Bennett he needs? Not really, because like Furina will be good with Neuvillette, but it's not a hypercarry team because Furina's not a hyper buffer like Bennett is, right? She does damage. She does a pretty reasonable amount of damage, right? Like, yeah, her buff is big, but she also does big damage. Her role in the team is a lot closer to Nahida. You wouldn't call a, like, C2 Sino team a hyper Sino, really, right? Because, like, Nahida's doing a good amount of damage. So it's weird, right? Like, that's not really how people refer to hyper teams, right? But will she be good with him? Probably, yeah. And like at the end of the day, because there's no characters that are like that focused on buffing him, it just gives you more freedom for your last slot. Like that's all it is. What story in Genshin did I like? I like the Tichnati story quest. I like the Venti story quest. I liked Carrie Bear. I think that's the peak of their writing. And one very important theme that is shared between all three of those is that they don't actually focus on a character. Like, Tichnati's story quest isn't about Tichnati, it's about Karkuta. Whatever, the crab. It's about the crab. Right? Venti's story quest isn't about Venti, it's about Stanley. And Care Bear's story quest, well, is about Care Bear and his father. When there's not the fucking managerial oversight, that's like, you have to make this character likable enough that people will want to spend money for them, they're actually good at writing stories. Do I like the underwater gameplay? I think it has a bunch of cool elements, but it's lacking something, right? There's no real impact to which characters you're playing underwater, which makes the novelty of it wear off fairly quickly. What made the Genshin Impact exploration so fun early on was the fact that your exploration was segmented in a way where you'd be interrupted by combat with a combat system that is more complicated than just take ability and then use ability. Like, yeah, the vibe underwater is good, but it relies too heavily on vibe and doesn't actually have very interesting gameplay. Dea is S tier underwater, but like, not really, because you don't really die underwater unless you're not paying attention. Which I will admit has happened to me. But if one of your characters die, it doesn't matter because you can just swap to another one. Right? Like, okay, if 3 of my characters are dead and I'm on my last character, the gameplay experience is exactly the same as if every of my character was alive. Right? Like, you don't even get punished for your characters dying. It takes away a lot of what made the Genshin exploration good early on. I have a free-to-play account. I was waiting for Nilo, but should I pull for Neuvillette instead? It really doesn't matter. Like, which one do you think is more fun? They're both good. You can go for whichever one. Like, it's always going to be that answer if you're asking what character should I pull for, right? Unless you specifically want to play certain archetypes or certain characters, there's no point to asking, should I pull X or Y in most situations, as long as they're both, like, decent. Because, like, I mean, they're both decent. It doesn't matter. It only starts mattering if you're like, I don't know, I like playing Cole. I think she's really fun, or I think she's really cool. Who should I pull for to be able to use her in themes? I like playing Dea. I think she's really cool. Who should I pull for to be able to use her in themes? Right? Unless that's your question. As long as the character's pretty good, you can really go for whichever one you want. Which is the funniest C6? I want to aim for a C6 free-to-play. And currently, I think about Ella. The thing about Ella is that even at C6 compared to other C6 characters, she's not that good. And she has a very specific playstyle, and if you don't like that, you're gonna not enjoy yourself. She has the one way you can play her, and that's really it. If you really want to go for a specific C6, I would recommend either going for a hyper carry that's actually good, right? Something like Wanderer, or a unit that's playable in a lot of different teams, like Yelan. Or just whichever character you find the most fun, obviously, but I assume you wouldn't be asking me if you know, I don't know which character you find the most fun, but you do, so it would not be a very good question for me if that's what it was all about, you know? Although, to be fair, if I could go for any C6, like, if I was forced to get a C6 character, and it, like, I could choose whichever one, and it had to be a 5-star, I think I would probably go for Ito. And I would permanently have my game in Korean. But, like, although, to be fair, C6 makes Korean Ito less fun. Because the funny voice line is on the final hit. And C6 makes you have less final hits. So, maybe I should reconsider. Will I go for Ito when he reruns? No. I'm not gonna consider getting Ito until I have C6 Goro. I think without C6 Goro, he's kind of too dog shit. And I don't want to go on the banner and get him C1 or C2 just to get C6 Goro. Yeah, I'd probably C6 Daya, actually. That's true. So never. I mean, my Goro is at... Is it C1? C2, right? If I get to, like, C4 or C5, maybe I consider it, because I'm close to C6, but... Yeah. Oh, Ganyu C6 isn't fun. Like, it's fun for 5 minutes, and then it's boring. Daya is a fun character with dog shit garbage numbers. I mean, honestly... Yeah. Nah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, like, Daya, she's a fun character with dog shit garbage numbers. So, getting her C6 would make her a fun character with fine numbers. Alright, like, the thing that prevents me from playing a lot of Daya is just that she's so fucking bad. But, like, she's fun. She's got a fun kit. I like her.